everyone. Welcome to Unapologetically You with myself, Tulsi, where we discuss all things health and wellness. We use science-backed tools that support you and your family, and hopefully thought-provoking conversations that get you motivated to look after yourself and the ones you love. So today's special guest is Jackie Tann. Jackie Tann is a movement practitioner and entrepreneur in the health and wellness industry for over 20 years, and she runs a successful coaching business. She also hosts an incredible podcast, The Body's Built Better, and she helps thousands of people get out of pain. So today we've invited Jackie to talk more about her professional and personal goals, and we delve into the life of a coach. So this is to give you another perspective, regardless of myself and Kelly's experiences as coaches. And this I hope you find interesting. Kelly is away on this one, unfortunately, so Jackie is kind of stepping in as my co-host and also a guest. So we'll see how that pans out in today's podcast. And lastly, if you're not already, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We would love to be have you as part of our community. And if you want to support us, head over to the Patreon page where you can support us for a small cup of coffee. And we appreciate if you can share this podcast. So share it with your family and friends so we can continue to grow and do what we love and send out these great messages. So without further ado, let's get into this podcast. So Jackie, hi. Thank you so
Hello.
much for firstly being a guest and also my co-host kind of thing today.
It's such a pleasure. And I'm pumped for it. Happy to be here.
Amazing. I got Jackie a little bit hyped, just giving her my brief in the room. So I think she's ready. I think she's ready to go.
Yeah, I'm picking up on your energy. I'm all
Yeah,
over it.
I love it. Okay, so what me and Kelly normally do is we go through our question and answer of what is your biggest win, your smile, and your intention. So we normally don't prepare this. I'm such a preparation queen, but this is something that challenges me. So I'm going to ask you, Jackie, first of all, what is your biggest win between the recording today and a week ago? Like, what was your biggest win so far?
This is the first time we're talking, and I feel like we are one because I'm the same. I need to prepare, and not preparing really just throws me off. So, my biggest win in the last week, I think, is keeping on going when I felt like not going.
Oh. And did you use habits to keep going, or were you just like, oh, you know what, I really should just do this?
It's the latter. Yeah. Just keep going, Jackie. Like, this is the grind. This is what you want. So just keep going. Just do
Oh,
the thing. Yeah.
that's good. Because that's the
Mm,
struggle, isn't it? I think people forget.
totally.
They always see the end result. They're always like, oh, wow, you did this. And that takes like
Yeah.
years to get that end result.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And that's something that's come to light for me. Absolutely. Like, yes, the outcome is important, but like you gotta love the journey.
Yes, that seems to be coming up for a theme like in the last few years. Like, honestly, it's never about the destination because
Hmm.
I don't know, like the biggest lesson for me, I think, is when I had my master's in strength and conditioning and I got the result. Like, you're like looking at the email, like, what was the result? And like, that's the only official kind of acknowledgement you get, right? It's like, oh yeah, I've got my master's. And I remember being away and I must have looked at the email on my phone and I was like, have I passed? Have I passed? And I know I passed because obviously the result. And then I kind of just sat with it and I was like, is this what it feels like? Like nothing's
Yeah.
changed. Nothing's different
Yeah.
between like 5 minutes
Exactly.
ago and 5 minutes after.
And you hear that a lot with really high achievers and even business owners that they're reaching a certain level of income or whatever it is and getting there and being like, oh, same person, another day, what's next? And so I think, yeah, like that outcome, whilst it's really important to have, I think, you need an end goal. You need to know where you're going, where you're taking yourself and what paths to take.
Yeah.
But that the outcome or that goal, I think, is ever evolving, and um, knowing that as well is really important.
Yeah, and like pivoting. Like when you're enjoying
Yeah.
the journey, you're able to pivot because it's
Oh,
going, I've got the end goal, I've got the mountain, but you know what? I'm not focusing on the top of the mountain. I'm just going to focus on one step. And that's what Kelly said on our last podcast. She said, just take the one step. That's all you need to do. You
yes.
don't need to think about everything else. Just take that one because sometimes it can be debilitating to
Yeah.
move, right? You're like, oh, this is just so overwhelming. There's just so much
Yeah.
to do. And then you end up being a little bit of a like a self-sabotage, just going, yep, yep, I'm just gonna bury my hand in the sand and not do
Yeah.
anything.
Been there.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the next question I usually ask is what made you smile? What was the thing that made you smile this week?
Oh, so this week has been a big week for sending out emails to people that I would like to get on the podcast.
Yeah.
And so it's been a few weeks. So obviously you would know you just send a whole bunch of emails because you need to send hundreds to get one either reply. And so it's been a couple of weeks, and just this week I've had a few replies and yeses. So that has made me smile. Yeah,
Yay.
big time. Mm.
Yay. And then the
And this,
looking
and being
forward.
here with you, of course.
Well, amazing. Amazing. But yeah, it's so rewarding when you're like you've put the graft in, but then you get to have these awesome conversations with people, right? So it's like that is just again that one thing that you're like, okay, we've got it in the diary, and then there's the next step, and then you're like, I get to have a conversation with this amazing person.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so wonderful when you have no idea where the conversation is going to go. Like, obviously, you have an idea of, just like this, there's a system for it. There's ways that, prompts, but like what comes of it and, the friendships that are made,
Yeah.
it's just so powerful and beautiful. And yeah, I love it.
It's really funny because when we first started the podcast, Kelly and I, we agreed, it will be a question and answer with a guest. And then some of the guests, which again, you've never met before, sometimes you're like, was that okay? Like it felt like we were really trying so hard to get like every detail out, or just they're just not used to, I don't know, being themselves on camera or meeting because we started this in COVID days, so it was everybody
Yes.
on camera, and now it seems to be a normal thing, which is a relief. But it's just like you've just got so many different versions of podcasts, and some people you're trying to pull your teeth out to try and get something out of them. And then since we changed the version of the podcast and we're like, we can be a little bit more relaxed, we can be a little bit more easygoing. And for you, I know you're going to recognize this as going, yeah, but I haven't planned it. It's not in the plan to be relaxed. I know what time.
Exactly. This is scary. What do I do? Relax.
Yeah, just be yourself, right? And then it's like,
Exactly.
when you get that level of authenticity, like people really
Mm,
enjoy that part of the podcast, don't they?
yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Okay, so big question. What is your intention for the coming week?
Oh, this is a good one. I think I think the intention would have to be around. So I'm running a workshop coming up in the next week, and the intention is to be really present with that
Mhm.
and make sure I show up in a way that I know that I'm capable of, because I did one a couple of weeks back and I walked away from that not happy with it in myself, because I knew that I had more to give, and I just felt like I'd let people down. And so there was a huge, reflection process on that. And I felt like I wasn't as uh, present, not only in the moment, but in the lead up to it. was kind of like what you said before. It got so big in my head that I think I did stick my head in the sand for a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's being really present in the lead up to that in my work and knowing that I'm preparing for, what I'm capable of, and then obviously in the moment as well.
I love that. And that it's really being honest with yourself and being aware of those areas. Like, it's not saying you need to play the martyr or, be a lot more self-critical of yourself. It's just going, how could I have done that better? How can I
Yeah,
bring the best version of me the next time I do this, right? And it doesn't mean you need to be, mean to yourself. You can be a little bit more compassionate when you ask those questions.
absolutely. Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah, agree. Okay, so we're going to delve in our hot topic of the day. So you are a hot topic of the day, pretty much. I don't think I've ever called a guest that, but we're here now.
I'll take it.
This is more about understanding who you are as a person, who you are as a coach, because we've got so many different facets of us. Like, our career doesn't make us who we are, right? Our family and friends are what we're doing, kind of all encompassing being. But what
Mm.
is your goals and your motivation? So we're going to tap in a little bit more about, your vulnerabilities and your things that you enjoy and the things that make you tick, Jackie. So,
Let's
first
do
of
it.
all, why, like, how did you begin your career in the industry? Where did you think, okay, this is what I want to do in life?
Yeah, so as the story goes, I was a dancer. And I was a dancer and performer for about 12 years. And I finished from a performance one day, and my dad had picked me up and we're driving home. And it's so funny because I can remember exactly where we were, what street we were turning down. And he just goes to me, Jackie, dance isn't a career, and you need to start thinking about what you're going to do with your life. And I think I was 20 at the time, which hurt. But deep down, I also knew that the person that I was then, as I look at back in hindsight, I don't think I had it in me to, if I wanted to make it a career, the person that I was then,
Okay.
I don't think I could have. Um, and so knowing that, yeah, had to think about what I was going to do. And I just knew that I wanted to work with people, with bodies, and help them, perform at their best,
Mhm.
because I was performing and I had, going through hours and hours of training, and then perform, like all of that just really, really lit my fire. And so it was either going to be at the time, either massage or personal training. And as it happens, and, you know, universe stepped in, and it just, I went into massage, just the way everything fell into place. And it was the best thing I did, because I, have had the most extraordinary career for the last 17 years. I met my now husband. Um, it was just such a pivotal moment in my life. And, through that, I obviously, being a dancer, I loved movement. So it was always going to be that trajectory where I was going to study personal training as well. And so that happened along the way. And, along the way, we opened up a studio. And so we've got massage and movement and putting it together. And yeah, that's where it all started.
Amazing. And then what was the trajectory into sports?
I loved sport. It was always sport for me. So actually, when I opened up my own clinic, and I say clinic, it was a room. It was a room in the at that point it was called Santos Stadium, which was the athletics track here in Adelaide. And yeah, I wanted to work with athletes. So from the beginning, I was working with runners, marathoners, and that then evolved into triathletes. And then, word got out, and I was then working with all sorts of athletes, which I loved because it just meant I got to, dive deeper into, human movement. And
Mm,
it's just, I loved it. I still do.
that's
I just
amazing.
don't do it anymore.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll
We'll
get
get
into
there.
that. But actually, it probably leads into the next question, because what I was going to ask is, you had mentioned in a podcast that you were in effect retiring your coaching with athletes, but what, like, for our audience who haven't heard about you or heard your story just yet, we will link the podcast in the show notes, so make sure you check her podcast out and follow. But basically, when did you, Jackie, start to notice your own wellness and kind of pivot? When did you think that actually this isn't the trajectory I want to go on anymore? And what made you come to that conclusion? What was the decision behind it?
If I'm honest with myself, I probably could have stopped a whole lot earlier than I did, but it obviously just the way things worked out. And when you're really good at something, it's really scary to walk away from that, and it's really scary to think, what am I going to do next, and how could I possibly be any more successful in the new career if I couldn't make what I'm really good at successful in the sense of what I had envisioned my success to look like. And so I had a very hard period in business, and it just had a huge effect on me and on my health. And it's something that I now have to continually manage. And it wasn't, it's funny the way it all worked out, but obviously 2020 hit. That was awful. By crazy, again, universe, by the end of it, we're moving to Sydney because my husband gets a promotion. And at that stage I was ready to give it all up because I was just completely and utterly exhausted. And I was a shell of a human. So we went to Sydney. So this massive change in environment and in your social network, like all of that. I mean, I did feel very lost in the beginning, but once I started to find my feet, that there was this huge, I guess, I just started to find myself again and then get passionate about the work again because of the people that I was meeting and that I was learning from. And then it just so happened that we had to move back to Adelaide. So we had this 10 months in Sydney, which was extraordinary, and we would have loved to have stayed there, but we had to go back to Adelaide because that's what we had to do. Um, and and it wasn't until I then meet a new set of friends and network of people. And it was actually through them that I really thought, actually, yeah, it's time to move on. I'm ready, but more so, I'm more than what I'm doing. Um, I'm not sure if I'm explaining that right, but it was just felt it was time.
No, I love that. I love that because I- it's like you said, when you're loving something, you think that this is the done thing. This is what I need to do. But I think that I said this to my brother the other day, and I said, there is no longer a lifelong career, or,
Mm,
career to retirement. There's no longevity in careers, and people change careers like two, three, sometimes four times in their lifetime. And it's actually saying to yourself, well, what lights your fire? And if that, even if that does do it for you, which obviously it shifted for you because you said your wellness started to depreciate, there's kind of like a two-part question in terms of what, so you found your light, you found, something that lit that inner spark again, but also how did you cope with putting boundaries up in regards to your wellness? So, you probably have energy leakages and things like that are happening. So how did you go from the transition between something's got to change and this could be a new venture, a new potential that I could go down towards?
Yeah, it's interesting because my boundaries at first when I was still working was like, just work less. And it's like, I just kept working less and less. I was like, what's the point of this? And so, yeah, I thought those were the boundaries that I needed to put in place. But then I realized, no, there's no more light in me for this kind of work. And, um, yeah, just knowing deep down that there was something else out there for me. No idea what that is, but trusting my gut that there was and is. Um, and yeah, understanding what boundaries actually look like and sound like for me in different moments. And I'm awful at saying no, which a lot of us are, I can imagine. And so recognizing that and going, okay, well, if I can't say the word no, what can I say that is still, in effect, no, but I feel more comfortable with? So it was really about getting to know myself, what I'm happy to do and what I'm not happy to do, or what goes against my values, and then making sure I have a way to, yeah, put that boundary in place, however that sounds or whatever that looks like. Did that answer your question?
That did, yeah, and I love
Yeah.
that, and there's kind of like a follow-up question, really, because me and Kelly have always talked about values, especially in the last season and the season before. We were saying, like, what are our values? Because we may have, say, 4 to 5 core values that pretty much don't change throughout our lives, but then we've got these minor values. I say minor, but they'll be interchangeable. Like, you'll have your pillars of values which won't
Mm.
change, but then you've got other values. So what would you class as some of your values? Did you actually sit down and go, actually, wait, what are values? What do I need to get? Like, what do I need to prioritize?
Yeah, I've done it a lot in the past, and yeah, my core values that stick with me, you know, all the time. They're really, yeah, the core of my values is integrity and authenticity. And so I guess that's the reason why I had to move on from the business, that I had to retire, because I wasn't being authentic to myself
Mhm.
around, what I was saying to others, but what I was doing in my own actions. And that really started to eat at me. And so those two for me is what I live by. And, you know, in any decision that I make, it's really coming from those values. Um, and then all the other ones that are really important to me are obviously my health and fitness, my family, adventure, and adventure being, whether that is traveling or whether it is, discovering something new, or, a new cafe. My husband and I, we laugh because our idea of, a fun weekend is cafe hopping, just finding new cafes. Where to next? Um, but and laughter and humor. Any chance to have a laugh and to not take things so seriously is something that is really important to me also. And I got stuck thinking I had to show up as a professional and be a certain way, and I'm just like, I just don't work like that. I just want to show up like a silly person and make someone laugh and put a smile on someone's face and have a positive impact. So yeah.
I love that. And has that attitude made a difference to, starting the podcast or doing more things online?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's in that process because so I started the podcast, in COVID as well. And I've been online, with my business for, since 2016. And it's funny because at that stage where I had staff, we would do the educational stuff, but we do the silly stuff as well, which was just good fun. And then when it was just me, I don't know. I think I thought I had to show up differently to be taken seriously. And I lost a part of myself during that period, and I'm getting that back. And so um, always working on myself and, you know, trying to be the best that I can be, because that's another value is learning and continually to grow. Um, yeah,
I love
I
that.
go on tangents and I
No, no,
forget what I'm
no. I
saying as
love
well. So
it.
sorry
I
about
love it.
that.
I love listening to you because it reminds me of there's a quote, I'm gonna botch it up, but basically the summary is, where as we get an older, we lose our sense of play and adventure and fun and
Yeah,
laughing at ourselves. And it's funny as well because when we get to this stage of inner reflection, assessing where we need to be and what lights us up, it's actually going, what do I need to let go of? What have I built up? What have I attached to, and what do I need to let go so I can go back to that sense of when you're younger, you laugh at something or you're in awe of something, or you do have those
yeah,
little adventures, and it's going, shed all the things that you have learned over your adult life and start becoming or being what lights your inner child up, what lights you up, and being silly and being humorous. And I think that's probably not a label I attached to when I started the YouTube channel and when I started the podcast. And again, it was more a case of, oh, how can I be a better presenter? How can I be a better listener, a speaker, and all these things? But really, I was thinking I had shed the needing to be this image for somebody else, to be taken seriously, to be respected. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna see what happens, and I'm gonna put content out there imperfectly because otherwise I'm never gonna put content out there with my planning. And so I just thought, let's just see what happens. And the quickest way to do it is you fail, you learn. And that's the best, quickest way to learn, right? You fail faster. And so it's really
absolutely.
brave to actually say, you're delving into your own inner reflections. You're not just here to help others. You're actually there saying, how can I get the best version of me out there? And that is going to unlock this other sense of energy that people just forget they have, I feel.
Yeah, you've put it so beautifully, and that would resonate with so many people. And it certainly resonates with me. Like, we have all this external information telling us that, to be better, we need to be this or do this or add this or talk like this or take this powder or whatever it is. And actually, to be our best selves, it is shedding all that shit from, our belief systems that we do need to, yeah, we need to get back to ourselves. And like you said, what pleases and lights up our inner child, and yeah, get back to the basics, because all this layer of external stuff that we've been, taught and conditioned it's false. We're such unique and incredible human beings, but how often do we get to see our unique essence if we've just covered it with a layer and a layer and another layer? And yeah, I'm done with that. I want to know who I am and what I'm capable of, and that only starts when we do really get to know who we are, and learn to love who we are, because I think that's another thing that is really difficult for us as a peoples and a society to do, is learn to love ourselves again, because again that external message is, well, you're not good enough, but if you buy this cream you will be, sort of thing. So yeah, that's it's a journey, but it's one worth doing.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm reading a book right now, and it's just saying, oh, it's more about letting go. And for me, who likes to be in control or to likes to have a
Yeah.
plan, like letting go and surrendering, I feel like that's my journey right now. And being in that journey, I just read something about how people's attitudes about money was never about money. Like they say the most affluent people are the most insecure or the most wanting respect and wanting that accolade, wanting that power, because it was never really about money. It's just they were thinking that money will get them to that level of characteristic
Mm,
or authenticity and things like that. But money can't do that, right? And it's just
yeah.
saying, like, how can you shift the narrative? And it's funny because when you end up following your passion and when you end up, releasing all of these attachments of who you should be or what society deems is good enough and worthy enough, and when you bought these products and now it's going, have you found there's just magic everywhere? Like when you find your path and it's like the right people find you, the right people contact you, the right people, like you end up having friends that just align with the messages that, and they come together. And I'm just going to call it magic. It's just this energy. It's this new vibration that you're emanating, and the people are matching that energy. More and more things are coming to you, and then something so simple, if you're no longer worried about money, and bringing it back to that example and just going, oh well, I need that course, or I kind of need this to help me, but I'm not really reliant on it, and then all of a sudden the money appears from nowhere, and it's like, oh well, isn't that coincidental that something has happened and I wanted it anyway, but I wasn't really bothered about it, but I get to move forward about it, right? And that
Yeah.
non-attachment is now going, I've surrendered so much. I've not been in control of, I know where my goal is. It's right over there. But you know what? I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on here. I'm focusing on being present. And more things are just coming to you. And you're like, wow, I didn't expect that. And you're just reveling in the joy of it all rather than
Yes.
so busy on the treadmill 1,000 miles an hour.
Absolutely. And I can relate to that so much. Yeah, that yeah, detaching yourself from all of that. And you're right, I've experienced that. We things do pop up when you let go of that control, and you say magic, I say a magnet. You become a magnet for all the things that that you want, but yeah, are not trying to push to get. I love that. I've yeah, I'm in the middle of experiencing that, and it's crazy how you do, just the people just come into your life, and opportunities come up. It is it is magical.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, I'm supposed to be saying no to things, but I really want to do that. And this isn't in alignment with that.
Exactly.
So I'm definitely going to say yes to this.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
things will come up, and you get the choice as
Yes,
well.
exactly, exactly. And I feel like it's just tapping into your own inner wisdom. And the last thing that I want to mention about this is I don't think people realize how powerful they are. Because if they realize how powerful they are, they wouldn't be limiting themselves. And it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like that self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? It's going, oh, I could never have that, or I could never do that. Well, then you're not going to. But if
Exactly.
you believe it, you'll see it. You'll be able to see it in your reality. You'll be able to attract the right people and the right businesses and the right money and the funds, and everything will just happen to come across at the right time. But so Jackie, you mentioned about your lifestyle changing, and you've gone from coaching athletes to where you are now. Are you able to reveal, how, first of all, how you made that big decision and what is next on the journey?
Um, uh, Firstly, I just want to say, just to be completely transparent, I wouldn't say I was coaching athletes, but I was working with athletes in movement, mostly massage. Just to
Okay.
be completely transparent, and where I'm going is I don't know. And that's been the hardest part is no, actually the hardest part is people asking me what's next and trying to tell them, well, actually, I don't know what's next, but I'm on this journey. And I know some of it is my own story that I'm telling myself about what they're thinking, but also I know what they're thinking because it has come up. And so that judgment is probably the hardest. But I think about what I want, and I can't give you a straight answer. I still don't know what that looks like, but all I know is that I want to make a difference in this world and in people's lives and have a positive impact. And even if that positive impact is I've made someone smile or laugh, or change the way they think about something, then that's what I want to do. And at the moment, how I'm doing that is through the podcast and through workshops and through mentoring. But I know there's something more, and I feel like as I uncover more about myself and I'm, unlearning all the stories that I've told myself and, learning to love myself more a little bit by little bit, day by day, I feel like it's going to come.
Mm. And I love that you've explained that, because actually coming across somebody who's like, what do you mean you don't know? What do you mean? Like, what is next? What's going on? Because let's take for I say a simple example, but a very relatable example of going, oh, so you're single? Like, when are you gonna get somebody, or when are you gonna get a
Mm,
boyfriend? Or are you looking? Or I know somebody? Or what are you doing? And then when you're together, you're like, oh, when you get married? When you're married? When you having your first child? When you've got your first child? When you're having your second child? So it is this constant. It's never enough for anybody
mm-hmm.
else. And that's all it is. It's never enough for anybody else. Even if you're
Yeah.
happy with your stage and your journey where you are now, being in this stage where you don't know and being okay with not knowing. Actually, let's take another level. Being okay with not knowing, but also telling people you're okay with not knowing. I feel like that is the epitome of courage. Honestly, that is epitome of courage, because we second guess ourselves so much. And like I said at the beginning, we're trying to shed all these narratives that we
Yeah.
have been put on, society has put on us. And now actually just say, I'm okay with my journey. I'm okay with not knowing. I'm going to be okay with being in the unknown, because there's a plethora of opportunities, and that's all it is. There are so many opportunities right before you. It's okay to take time to deliberate. It's okay to just go, I've got like 1,000 doors in front of me. I'm just going to sit and just go, I don't need to pick just yet, because I know there are 1,000 doors in front of me. I just need to be in this room right now. And actually
Yes.
then saying I don't know yet to somebody else is like another level. I don't know anybody who's actually said, I'm okay with not knowing, but I'm also telling other people that I don't know yet. Because that, again, like I said, it takes another level of courage, but also um, it's authentic. And I feel like it really does match in your values, as you mentioned, that integrity and authenticity was were two of your main values. And it's actually saying she's so integral, she is so authentic to her message, that she's going to say it no matter what it's going to be perceived as, right?
Thank you. That means a lot to me. It really does.
But like you've helped me level up again. So I was like, yeah, actually, I don't think I know either. I'm like, I'm in this middle ground where I'm like, who knows what's next? I
Yeah.
to figure out the end goal just now. And I feel like I'm in the same probably room of my own, just going, let's just see. Let's just
Exactly. That's right. And you said it as well before, like there are so many opportunities, but we can be so judgmental on ourselves and fearful of our skills and our knowledge and whether we're good enough, which can close us off from all those opportunities. And so, yeah, coming back to that journey of unlearning and uncovering and discovering who you are, and knowing that you are worthy of any opportunity that comes up is so important. And I don't think it's easy to see those opportunities if we're so consumed with what we're not good at, or why we're not good enough for
But
whatever
it's a
reason.
self-deprecation, isn't it? It's going, well,
Mm,
all of these things that I'm not good at, all of these things I failed at. You're in that we Kelly and I were talking in the first podcast about the energetic vibrations of which
mm,
scale are where are you on the scale of vibration? Because if you're in this grief, if you're in the shame, if you're in the fear stage, you're not going to be able to unlock the potential and the acceptance and the love and the peace and the transcendence, because that's when you're going to be able to unlock the cogs and find the inspiration. You know, when they say, when you're kind of just like doing nothing, staring out into the abyss, like things come up. Like the amount of times that that I've done, oh my gosh, this is a brilliant idea, let me act on it, or let me just do this, or you know, that's the next step to that. And even in the morning of the podcast, this is probably like a little reveal with Kelly and I did a meditation because I was like, oh, okay, so Jackie can't make this time. What do we fill the segment with? Because that was our arranged time. So I was like, okay, well, I like kind of like flying by the pants,
yeah.
flying by the seat of our pants at the point. And then I was in meditation, and then the meditation was like energetic frequency. And then I was like, well, let me just delve into this little hole. And then we ended up having a great conversation in a podcast about energetic frequency. And I was like, that wouldn't happen if you were in those lower vibrations of shame,
Mm-hmm.
of guilt, of, you know, and a lot of times we hide behind those emotions because of this other things in the external, right? About what we should and should not do. So you know how you say you go off on a tangent? I think I'm just like the same thing.
That was a beautiful tangent. And going back to the vibration and frequency, um, Joe Dispenza's work, love is the highest frequency. And he comes out with obviously so many, I'm not sure if there's studies, but it's certainly a lot of anecdotal evidence of people healing themselves once learning how to love themselves and get into that frequency. And yeah, it just knowing that the possibilities are endless, if you can tap into that, just excites me so much and just makes me want to continue to work on myself so that I can show up as me every single day.
And that's so special. It's just learning. I'm constantly curious about, you know, how can I be
Yes.
a better version of myself? Because we're changing constantly.
Yeah.
And the version of us yesterday isn't the version of us today, but what are we doing to change that? And how are we bettering ourselves? And I feel like that level of curiosity within ourselves, it's not an egotistic thing. It's more of a case of how do I then get to that natural source of spring water, which then
Yes.
helps other people. And that's what it is, right?
I love that analogy. I'm all about the analogies.
Me too. And they just come out of nowhere. I'm fun of them. Okay, so Jackie, just to round up, first of all, thank you so much for being a co-host and let me
Oh,
grill you on what's going on. But basically, we normally go into the segment of your health motivational tip of the day. It could be something that we've already talked about, or it could be something that is kind of present in your life at the moment. But what is your health motivational tip of the day?
it would have to be just get out and do the thing, and the thing that you keep putting off. And so for me in particular, it was I've recently got back into running. And I used to love running, but it got to a point where I continually got injured, and then it was affecting my other training, and it meant that I couldn't train as much. And it was this awful negative spiral. And so I've always been scared to get back into it. And so I've told myself, I let myself off the hook go out and run to the end of the street, and that's all you need to do. Walk back. And that has completely changed the way I think about doing anything really. Um, just, as little as possible, just do that. 30 seconds of push-ups, just do that. What is like the lowest hanging fruit possible? Go for that thing, just to get it done. And obviously that's then how we can start to build these healthy habits. So um yeah, go for that lowest hanging fruit, whatever it is for you, and make the you know barrier to entry to whatever that saying is. Make sure it's not there. So yeah, if it's run to the end of the street, do that. If it's run the length of your hallway, do that. If it's a piece of fruit, just cut up half of it or a quarter of it. Just eat the quarter.
Love that.
Whatever it is.
No, that's
Yeah.
such an amazing tip because just before, and this is me forward thinking, just before I'd asked you that, I had no idea what my health motivational tip of the day was, but I was like, oh, I have to go exercise after this. And the funniest thing in the world is and this is my brain on like haywire, but basically my brain, I have a plan, so I do certain things per week and I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to hit my target, and I want to kick off my 40th, which is next year, with a bang. So I'm like, I love my body right now, but I just want to enhance the love and the appreciation that what my body can do, what I'm able to
Yeah.
do, rather than self-deprecating and going,
Mm.
I've eaten this, I'm now need to go into exercise. I was like, no, 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 no. I build the habits to exercise so I can have the best energy and the best, you know, mental agility for the day. And we
Mm-hmm.
know that mental and physical go hand in hand. But for me, I was like, oh, I have to now go exercise, because normally I do it before the podcast recording, and I didn't do it. I was working before. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, just on top of your low hanging fruit, I was like, what do I want to do? And you've inspired me to then go dancing, because I was like, I can literally just dance in my living room, or I can
Yeah.
dance in an open space, because I love dancing, absolutely love dancing. And I even have it on my schedule to go once a week, dance, right?
Perfect.
Like, well, I haven't done it this week. So instead of me begrudgingly wanting to do some strength and conditioning, do some exercise, rah rah rah. Like, why not put on some good music, low hanging fruit, and on the back of, yeah, from your health motivational tip of the day, the low hanging fruit. It could be anything, but if it comes to exercise, how can you make it fun? And and if you
Exactly.
don't want to make it fun, how can you invite other people to make it fun with you? So that's going to be my motivational tip of the day.
Brilliant.
But yeah, it's
I
been
love it.
such a pleasure to have you on here. I don't know where the time has gone, honestly. It's just pinged by. But thank you so much for being an amazing co-host and guest. Kelly will like punch herself because she wasn't here. I know she will be
She
devastated
doesn't have
to
to.
get to meet you, but I'm sure we'll be able to have you back on and grill you a little bit more about your experience as a coach, but also as a person. I love the fact that you are going through this journey and we get to be able to witness this new 2.0 Jackie version.
Oh, thank you. This has been such a pleasure. I've really loved hanging out with you, Tulsi, and I really feel like we are on the same page and our values are similar, and it's been so much fun, and so I appreciate you and you having me on your show.
Thanks, Jackie. So, guys, just making sure there is Jackie's link in the description box below. If you want to follow her on social media, that's also going to be on the description box below. But thank you all for listening. Thank you so much for joining us. If you found this podcast useful, comment below. Let us know. Share it with your family and friends. And we would love for you to be a part of this community. Head over to Patreon, where you can find that in the link in the box below. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this one. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.